Alright, you saw the title. I've gone off the deep end again, but I really think I'm onto something with this one. And I'll just cut to the chase right now. The Erdtree is not a tree. It's actually the stamen of the crucible. Now hold on, don't click off, don't start typing, just hold on. Let me cook for a second. So this all started when I was wrapping up the DLC. And I was looking up some of the craftable items in the DLC, and at some point, I came across a charming branch. And one of the ingredients that had been sitting in my inventory for pretty much the whole playthrough that I paid no attention to was the Empyrean Blood Version. Growing around the areas where Mikola divested himself of his gold are little versions that grew from his blood. Now, look at the pictures for both of these items. This right here is where everything started clicking and I lost my mind. Then I did some Googling and I have not seen anyone talking about this. I may have missed it, but I hope after this video, you'll be as confused as to why no one's talking about it as I am. Let me try to give you a peek into how my brain descended into madness. Went something like this. I looked at the DLC incantation, Aspects of the Crucible, Bloom. The incantation summons a Miranda flower on the user's chest that calls down a rain of light. But who cares about that? Why is it that an aspect of the Crucible spell blooms a flower? And why specifically a Miranda flower? What even is a Miranda flower? So of course the next step is to look up what is a Miranda flower. And that brought me to the Miranda's Prayer cut content item description, which reads, Miranda, Maiden of the Flower Crucible, is said to have been the very first of this breed. I'm sorry, the Maiden of the what Crucible? And what's up with the statement on this flower? It really kinda looks like, no, that can't be right. Then I went to the next page on Google and saw there was a boss fight with a Miranda flower that I've never encountered. Okay, so let me get a look at this boss fight. And there's an omen killer there. Time to look up their lore. So it turns out, one of them was a perfumer named Rollo. Wait a minute, can't perfume be made from flowers? At this point, I'm pretty sure I'm onto something. So next up is the perfumer's lore. I scroll down their wiki page and read some of the lore, see Rollo there obviously, but then as I'm reading the description of the perfumer's traveling garb, what do I see? An associate of a healer, he is said to be in search of new aromatics and flower gardens in hopes of treating misbegotten, omen, and all those seen as impure. Okay, so there was a perfumer who became an omen killer is in a Miranda flower boss fight, and here we see there was a perfumer trying to heal omen with flowers. Wait, so omen can be healed with flowers, connected to the crucible. An aspect of the crucible incantation that blooms a flower, and wham bam, right there, the crucible's a flower, it hit me right there. And then check out the description for Miranda powder. Throughout history, perfumers have prized this extremely fragrant form of Miranda pollen not yet scattered into the air. You gotta be kidding me. A very chaotic mix of ideas entered my brain after I made this realization. The very first thing that came to mind was butterflies. Yes, those butterflies, each of them connected to one of Marika's children. And what are butterflies? Pollinators. For those that may not know, pollinators carry the pollen from the stamen of a flower to the pistil, or more specifically the stigma at the top, whatever, of either another flower or the same flower. And then I got hit with a whammy wham bam. Who do we know that has one body with both male and female reproductive organs and self-reproduces? Marika and Radigan, who, of course, reside within the Erdtree until we, evict them. Now, take a look at the Miranda flower. You see it. I know you see it. Stop playing games. The Erdtree is a damn stamen. But wait, Mikola and St. Trina, they both have flowers. In fact, St. Trina basically is a flower. Mikola is an Empyrean along with his twin sister, who in the process of becoming a goddess, literally becomes a blooming flower. Now my mind works in insane ways, so I'm going to try my best to explain how I got to the next idea. Now randomly, that fool Tialier's questline popped into my mind. And it was the part where we had to, against our will I might add, take St. Trina's nectar. Then I remembered that Tialier called it ambrosia, which of course I learned after looking at what it meant, is a Greek mythological term talking about a honey-like substance that grants immortality. Honey, of course, is made by bees from nectar. And here we go. My mind turned back to Marika, who used to give out what? Sap from the Erdtree. Only now, I don't think it was sap. Now, there are many bits of lore that have like entire videos dedicated to them by actual good lore YouTubers that would take way too long to explain here, but just trust me for a second. There are catacombs throughout the lands between where people would be buried and consumed by parts of the Erdtree in order to be reborn out of the Erdtree. Now, this happened during the Age of Plenty, which in my headcanon is like an ending of a prequel game where Marika was the playable character. This Age of Plenty came to an end, and along with it, Erdtree burials and the receiving of sap. Now, there isn't too much known about the Age of Plenty, but let's go with the flower theory. In this theory, the sap would actually be nectar or honey made from it. And what do flowers use nectar for? To entice pollinators to come to the plant and get to pollinate that thing. Now here's another insane connection my mind somehow made. Remember that cut content item, Miranda's Prayer? Well, I didn't share the first part of that item's description earlier. It reads, "This statuette depicts a flower that preys on humans posed in prayer." That's right, the Miranda flower, both the real one and the Elden Ring version, is carnivorous. And if the Miranda flower is actually a representation of the flower crucible, then it would likely follow that the crucible was also a carnivorous flower. You see where I'm going with this? The Erdtree, during the Age of Plenty, was fed bodies. Why would someone let their bodies be consumed by the Erdtree? Well, they were enticed by that sweet, sweet nectar to partake in Marika's religion, which they believed would grant them a form of immortality, being reborn through the Erdtree. See, I don't think it's a coincidence that the Erdtree burial stopped when the sap stopped being given out. I think it was part of that reincarnation process. It was the ambrosia, the nectar of life. But see, my insanity does not stop there. Now look at this. Check out the item description for the Erdtree flower. Said to grow from the old fallen leaves of the Erdtree. I'm not reading anymore. What do you mean the leaves fall to the ground and turn into flowers? What are we talking about here? Let's get to the last bit of insanity. This next part is full of ideas that are difficult for me to piece together, which is also part of why I wanted to make this video in the first place. I'm hoping that talking about this will spark something in someone else's brain and be like, oh, wait a minute, that explains X or Y. And I'll be like, great. So let me share with you some of the stuff that's kind of like unfinished that there's a connection there. I don't know why, but my brain, I've never been wrong once, not once ever in my life. Now, we all know about the centipede death mark bred on the Goblin and Ronnie on the Night of the Black Knives. Well, this got me thinking about Romina and the Church of the Bud. Why? Well, she's part centipede, which is weird, butterfly, scorpion, and she wields a weapon formed from a bud and is in a Church of the Bud or whatever that means. That's something to do with death, children of Marika, scarlet rot, and then possibly the flower crucible. But I can't figure out what my brain is trying to do with all that. So I move on. The Erdtree and the Erdtree have avatars. Now, why is it that the Erdtree has an avatar that's a sunflower? Then you go to the Erdtree avatar. What does this look like? This looks like a rotting flower that is not bloomed. And then look over here at Radagon's icon. And I look at this picture of Miranda's flower stamen. Y'all seeing this? It can't just be me who sees him growing out of that stamen, can it? It can't. Look, I don't know what to do with all this, but something is going on. And I hope this video can reach people who may be able to figure out what. Thanks so much for watching. Wait! If you're here for the animations, I'm cooking up one right now. See you soon.